Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Campus Conversations, the Shawnee Community College podcast. I am the Executive Director of Public Information and Marketing, Kevin Huntsberger, and our guest this week is Mandy Hannan, and she is the Dean of Allied Health and Nursing here at Shawnee Community College. Welcome.
Good morning.
So we have cereal sitting here, and Dr. Taylor and I kind of explained this back in our pilot episode that the podcast is going to have many aspects to it, and one of them is getting to know more about the members of the Saints family, the people who work here, the people who go to school here, the people who live in our communities. And so Mandy has so graciously volunteered to be our first guest on the Cereal podcast. So it's a play off of, if you do listen to regular podcasts, it's a play off of the Cereal, S-E-R-I-A-L podcast. But we're going to conversate over a bowl of cereal, and since it is almost Halloween, Mandy found the monster cereals at the store.
I did. I found all four of them.
The thing I love about cereal is the nostalgia it brings back, and obviously the Count Chocula is the one we're going to try, but you mentioned all four. There is a new flavor out this year as well. It's a caramel apple one, but
yes.
We're going to let her sit on the shelf. Yeah, we're gonna go with the tried and true, the traditional Count Chocula, which was the first Count Chocula and Frankenberry released in 1971. So more than 50 years the cereals have been out there. Talk to me a little bit about your memories of having cereal, not necessarily just the Monster cereal, but what was it like? You know, because I think we're both Gen Xers, so it's kind of a staple of our childhood, breakfast, but also dinner, late night snack, whatever it was.
Oh yes, I remember every morning getting up, getting ready for school, sitting at the kitchen table and turning on, watching the news or cartoons or whatever it was. Definitely Saturday mornings, sitting at the kitchen table. We had this tiny little TV that sat adjacent to our kitchen table, and we would watch our Saturday morning cartoons, and we'd have our bowl of cereal. Not always Count Chocula, of course, but also we'd come home from sports activities and things in the afternoon, and that usually be our go-to snack was a bowl of cereal. And
well, and that's part of this podcast. The whole concept here is, and I pardon the crunching here as you hear me rustling here, but we're gonna pour some cereal here too, and talk and eat and just kind of share and reminisce. And I hope I didn't pour too much there for you, but the Monster cereal specifically, as we mentioned, came out more than 50 years ago, but in 2009, they kind of pulled them off the shelves as a yearly. You could buy this in March, you could buy it in December. It wasn't a time-stamped thing like it is today. Oops, sorry about that. Branding counts here. We are pouring out of our Shawnee water bottle. We have a limited amount of those, so if you're on campus, stop by and we'll hook you up. I'm going to move my water bottle out of the way though. But obviously, to you as a kid, what made the perfect cereal? What were some of your favorites as a kid eating those cereals?
Golden Grahams and Apple Jacks and.
So the sugar and the sweetness,
Of course. But I always liked the weird ones too that nobody else liked, like Life cereal. Mikey really likes it.
Yeah.
I always loved Life cereal and like the Crackle and Oat brand, and really, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Most of it. Less actually of some of the really sugary sweet ones, and like Kix. I loved Kix.
Really?
Kid tested, mother approved.
For me,
all the slogans, I remember everyone.
Yeah, I loved Count Chocula. Like, I would say Count Chocula is probably, at one time, would have been on my Mount Rushmore of cereals, one of my top favorite cereals. They've come through the years with different marshmallow shapes. I know they've partnered up. It's all about the marketing when it comes to these. They had Scooby-Doo shapes at one time, and one thing that I always remembered, especially about the Monster cereals, was the toys inside. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we get the toys in the cereals these days, and I know you and I both have kids that are beyond the little kid stage where they're eating these kinds of cereals. Does your family still eat a lot of cereal?
Not as much as when they were much younger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I never really thought about the fact that I don't see the toys in there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
One of my favorites with the Monster cereals was there were these records, and really dating myself here with this, but it was like a little flimsy plastic record, and you put it on and you had to put a penny or a coin on it to kind of balance it when it was playing on the turntable. And I actually found a clip of it.
The monster cereals, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Blueberry present Monster Adventures in Outer Space. As the sun slowly fades over the horizon, darkness descends like madness, creeping over Monster Mansion. Let's venture inside and see what our friends Frankenberry, Blueberry, and Count Chocula are up to.
Time for beddy, boy. Count Chocula, have you seen my teddy bear?
Frankenberry, you are too big for a teddy bear.
I am not, Chocula. My teddy's quite a comfort on a cold winter's night.
And a cold, bitter night this is. Not
Hearing that sound when I found it as I was doing research for this podcast, it just brought back, it unlocked those core memories and whatnot. But, you mentioned having the serial on Saturday mornings and watching cartoons. What were you watching as a kid?
Oh my gosh, probably like Bugs Bunny or something like that. Looney Tunes. Honestly, I'm a girl, so I was probably watching Care Bears and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I'm a nerd for nostalgia, and I love, reminiscing and looking back at the stuff that if you stop in my office here on main campus, it's full of toys, many of them from when I was a kid still. So it is fun to kind of think back and reminisce and everything just seemed much simpler back then. But I guess that's part of being a kid, especially back in the 70s and 80s when there was not the deluge of information and media and social media and all that good stuff.
Your cereal box was your deluge of information. Even though you read it 15 times, I'm looking at the back of the cereal box with all the little cartoons, little comic strip on the back, and I did all of those all the time. Every day I'd sit and, even though I read it yesterday, I'd read the cereal box again. Got a lot of good information.
And if we got really bored, we're reading the ingredients and the serving sizes and all that. I don't think back then we were as concerned about those kinds of things as folks are today. But, we talked about your title here at Shawnee Community College, the Dean of Allied Health and Nursing. Easy for me to say. Tell us what brought you here. How did you end up at Shawnee Community College?
Well, prior to this role, I was an adjunct for Shawnee. I had been teaching the CNA class and medical terminology at Massac County High School. So I was an adjunct prior to being here. I've been a nurse for about 21 years now, so that's actually where my background is.
Okay.
But I started here in August of 2021 as the Director of Nursing, and shortly thereafter merged into this Dean of Allied Health and Nursing role.
What is it about healthcare? What was it for you, when you were younger that attracted you to the profession to become a nurse?
Well, I have an interesting story on that. I thought maybe I wanted to be a dentist or a doctor or something like that. And so I actually came here to Shawnee College for 2 years, and then I transferred up to SIU. I always say that those were the days of my professional student track. But in my last semester there at SIU, I also took an EMT course at John A. Logan. Okay. And that was the course that sealed the deal for me, that said, I'm going to work in an emergency room, for sure. And then shortly thereafter, I went over to Cape Girardeau, and I started in the BSN program at SEMO.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I didn't realize that you had gone to SEMO as well.
Yeah. Yes.
That's very cool. So,
professional student track.
Yeah. So, one thing that I've done, in reading and learning more about the nursing program and nursing in general is we have a nationwide nursing shortage, but on top of that, you don't have people who are able to teach these future nurses as well. So does that become? I'm sure that's part of the problem. Problem, maybe not the right word here, but part of what you face, a challenge that you may face is finding people to become future educators in the nursing field.
Absolutely. As much as there is a nursing shortage, nursing faculty is one of the greatest shortages. A lot of it has to do with the requirements, so you usually have to teach or have a degree that is 2 levels above what you're teaching. So for our practical nursing students,
I never hit record.
Oh, okay.
Son of a... All right.
We can start it.
I'm recording. from here on, I'll take the audio from the video and we'll be okay. We
Okay.
should be okay. If
Okay.
not, okay.
Gotcha.
So, nursing shortage, educator of nursing shortage as well.
Right. So as much as there's the nursing shortage, the faculty shortage is as much of a problem, if not worse. And a lot of it has to do with educational requirements. Most people who go to school to become a nurse, we have an associate degree program. The most common are, of course, the associate degree and the bachelor's degree programs. Whether or not you go to an associate degree or bachelor degree program, as soon as you are out of school, it's the same job. Of course, those with the bachelor's degree go on to hold other roles within hospitals and other organizations. But as far as faculty is concerned, you have to have 2 degrees above what it is that you're teaching. So a practical nursing program for clinic, we have to have, or for practical nursing, we have to have a bachelor's degree. And for any associate degree, you have to have master's prepared faculty. For the most part, our faculty are all master's prepared. We have one who's in school right now, but she teaches in the practical nursing program. And then once you get any degree higher than that, you have to have, essentially, if you get to the bachelor's level, you've got to have a doctorate now in nursing practice, so, or a PhD.
And so it becomes difficult to find people that are committed to staying into programs for that long, because
Sure.
it is a long
It's a
long
very long
period.
time. Yes, I went back many years later for my master's degree, and I'm actually currently in a Doctor of Nursing Practice program right now.
Oh, very cool. I didn't realize that. And I know that April Dollins, who is one of the instructors here,
Yes, so
recently completed her doctorate as well.
She did. We were both attending Northern Kentucky University. She powered through it and got it done much quicker than I'm able to. But hopefully 2025 will be my expected date of
Oh, cool.
graduation.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't realize that was happening with you. You know, when it comes to recruiting students and finding students, you know, obviously things have changed from when you were a student and attending here and then going on and pursuing your degree. What have you noticed trend-wise for the nursing pool of students that are out there? You know, are they wanting to be a part of this, and are we finding more non-traditional students that may be coming to get a second act, a second start on their career?
Absolutely. We have a lot of non-traditional students, a lot of people who have been in other areas. We've even got somebody who was in the mining industry who is now a student of ours.
Wow.
Because, you know, nursing is a high demand field, and the pay is very good. The job security is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
You will always have a job as a nurse, and the beauty of it is, and I think that why people are drawn to nursing is because there are so many options available, from pediatrics to long-term care to acute care settings and critical care and community things. So there are so many different options. I think that we have a normal number of fresh out of high school students who are
Sure.
getting their prereqs and coming into our program, but I would say we do see a very large number of non-traditional students who are just out for a new career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, talk a little bit about the track when they're here and they finish. These people can go out and get a job at the hospital or at the health department or wherever they're kind of aiming to go.
Yeah, I mean, they can literally, once they are done with their degrees, whether that be an LPN, a lot of the LPNs you're going to see employed in long-term care, in some doctor's office settings, and some hospitals are now, we kind of went away for a little while to hiring LPNs, and then now after pandemic times, they've kind of brought those LPNs back in to serve in some nursing roles. But other than that, you can literally work anywhere. Doctors' offices, clinics, community settings. There's tons of jobs just locally in our area.
And we also have seen, pat the department on the back here for a minute. Pass rates have been at 100% the last couple of years.
So our associate degree nursing program has just gotten their most recent results, and we are at 3 years running at 100% pass rate. And we're very, very close with our practical nursing students as well. Practical nursing students, we still have one student left to test from this academic year, but we're kind of holding right now at 100%, but we were at 96% last year, which is fantastic.
That is amazing.
It says a lot about our programs and our faculty.
Yeah, because I know that those are not easy courses, obviously. It's not, if it was easy, there wouldn't be a nursing shortage.
Right.
And so that speaks a lot to the faculty, the staff
Absolutely.
here, and of course the students who are putting in that work. And when I attend the pinning ceremonies and I hear you read the notes from the students as they're walking
Thank
across,
yous, yeah.
they talk a lot about that sacrifice of being away from family.
They do.
And we mentioned non-traditional, so some of these folks have
Oh,
small
they
children
do.
or grandkids or whatever
Grandkids,
the case may be. So it really is not something that is for the faint at heart, but you also, there is a wonderful light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
There is, yes. It's a rewarding career. And not just, because it is a well-paying job. I
Mhm.
mean, you get to go into work and leave every day knowing that you have helped someone or saved a life, depending upon where it is that you're working. Very
Yeah.
rewarding.
And I would imagine too, with the high pass rates, are we seeing students that are staying here? We are kind of doing this learn here, earn here initiative and kind of reminding people that they can come to Shawnee Community College and find a well-paying, sustainable, long-term career. It's not just about getting a job, but establishing a career.
Sure. They definitely stay within the area, and within the area does include the area where our clinical sites are located. So that does include Cape Girardeau and Carbondale and Paducah because we do our clinicals there. But we also have clinicals at Massac and at Hannan and Hanan's out of district, but Union County Hospital, and a lot of our students go to work there. I actually made a quick site visit the other day and saw one of our recent graduates at Massac the other
Very
day, so it's
cool.
nice to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so with the nursing program, we mentioned the pass rates, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the recent accreditation, the ASIN accreditation.
Sure.
So talk a little bit more about that and the significance of that to Shawnee Community College and Southern Illinois in general.
Sure. So that is something that we are very, very, very proud of. There was some confusion, I think, for a long time that we lost accreditation, but we never did because it was never required to have it. So we hadn't ever started that process. And they actually began the process for accreditation about a year prior to my arrival. And then we had everything completed by December to turn into ASIN. So it's the Accreditation Commission on Education and Nursing, or ASIN. And essentially, that accreditation just holds us to a higher standard and shows that we have quality nursing programs. It was a long and arduous process, but worth it absolutely. So as far as what that means, accreditation becomes important whenever you're transferring to other universities, and also within our area if you plan on working with the Veterans Administration.
Okay.
So all of the registered nurses who work within the VA have to come from an accredited nursing program. So that's actually very important to our community.
One other thing going on with allied health that I know we're going to really ramp up and focus on is OTA, Occupational Therapy Assistant. This is something that we worked with SICM on in the past, and there are changes going on with that program, and Shawnee Community College has been fortunate enough to inherit, I don't know if that's the right word, but we are going to have OTA and at the Union County Extension Center, and kind of a whole big project going on with that.
Yes, that's something we're actually very excited about. So SICM, who we've partnered with for many, many years, will be coming to an end at the end of June of next year. And we currently have students in the Med Lab Tech and the Occupational Therapy and Surgical Tech programs. So 2 of those programs will be going to John A. Logan, but we will be acquiring the OTA program, Occupational Therapy Assisting. That one's actually near and dear to my heart. My mom was in the first ever graduating class from SICM, so I think that's awesome.
Yes.
And I've always, I think that her success comes from that program.
Yeah.
That's where she got her start in 1996. So.
Did that inspire you then to go into the
At first,
field?
I actually went on some college tours and was looking at occupational therapy as a career, but I knew that one wasn't for me. But she has taken it to great levels. She actually hasn't been a practicing coda for a very long time, but she actually owns a wound care business. So
cool.
that's actually, that's another story for another day,
Yeah.
but she's been very successful because of that OTA program. And we've been working closely with the faculty and staff with that program. And we have a whole renovation coming to the Anna Center to
Yeah.
make sure that we've got some new state-of-the-art lab facilities, and it's going to be great because I think we're going to be really pulling more allied health programs to the Anna Center or the Union County Center.
Yeah. That's awesome because I do think that, you know, those things maybe don't get noticed enough that, you know, not only do you have to have the competent and qualified staff teaching it, but the technology that goes along with this goes a long way too. And I know there's a lot of work going on here on main campus with the simulators and the mannequins and the animage table, anatomage table.
Anatomage, yeah.
I can never say that right. And you know, some of the other things. And just in the year and a half that I've been here, there have been additions, and I know that ball was rolling before you got here, like you mentioned, and it continues to roll and go on to build bigger and better things here for not just the staff and the faculty, but the students, and ultimately then they take that information out into the communities.
Yes, yes. We're very proud of that nursing and allied health simulation lab that we've kind of started downstairs in the nursing area. And then that technology with the anatomage table and everything, we hope to extend a lot of that into the Union County Center as well.
It is very cool. We're gonna circle back now to the cereal portion. This has been sitting for a while. You know, I didn't want to be rude and sit here and crunch into your mic. So, what are your thoughts on milk and cereal? Because as a kid, and I'm still as an adult, not crazy about milk. So I will have some milk left in the bowl, and pour another scoop of cereal in to finish it up.
That's exactly how I will eat it. I was never one to pick up the bowl and drink the milk at the end. Maybe if it was a chocolate cereal.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
But never any of the fruity ones. I was never into that. Nope. And I still do that to date. But, you know, I actually only put tiny little bits of cereal in at a time because I like the crunch.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like I said, this has been sitting here for
okay.
for just a little bit. But again, it is the Monster cereals. Specifically today, we are trying Count Chocula on this inaugural episode of Cereal. And we are speaking with Mandy Hannan, the Dean of Allied Health and Nursing here at, I don't know why I can't say that today. We're recording this on a Thursday, and I told some people earlier, this feels like a Monday because I didn't hit record on the audio at the beginning here. So if you notice a sound or a change in the sound, that's why. We're pulling it from video and audio. So it's been a day, it's been a week, but we're going to get through it, right?
That's right.
That's right. And so as we wrap things up, I do want to ask you if you could have a bowl of cereal, you know, sit with a celebrity or anyone in general, you know, who would you break the bread with, if you will, in a cereal setting and have a conversation with?
I don't know that I could pick one individual, but I'd probably choose some musical artist or something like that. I don't know. If I'm going back to some nostalgic things, I'll go back to some teenage years and maybe like maybe sit down with Alanis Morissette or somebody like that. Fun fact about me, I taught myself how to play guitar during the pandemic.
Right.
And so I sit on my porch a lot and I sing songs like, good old 90s Alanis Morissette songs and things like that. To myself and bugs and the cats and things like that, but never out in public. Rarely out in public.
Well, let's talk about that again for just a second, because I remember you telling me that story before, but obviously the pandemic was a difficult time for a lot of people, and my son picked up the hobby of playing the keyboard. So, people leaned in on their musical side. Did you have any musical inclinations before that?
I did. I came here to Shawnee College on a music scholarship back in the 90s, and that's where I met my late husband. So, yes, he was the band director at Massac County. So we're a very musical family, and a lot of that time was spent playing music during that time. And my oldest daughter is at SIU now as a music ed major. So, very musical family. My middle daughter played the piano for the school play last year, and my son is very active in band and jazz band in high school. So, very musical family.
It is a
And
very...
I played piano for like 12 years. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love to hear that. Music is so important, and
Sure.
and I know a lot of places it's becoming an endangered species, and
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
definitely need to keep the arts alive in our schools. Mandy, anything else you want to add before we put a bow on this week's episode?
Oh, no, I just appreciate you having me
Yeah,
today.
absolutely. This has been fun. And folks, if you have ideas, recommendations for cereal or other future podcast topics, you can always email us. It is shawneecc.edu. The link is also on our website, so be sure to check that out. Thanks for listening and or watching. Have a great week, and we will talk again very soon.